I know I should be in a suit, okay? But I can't wear a suit and wear my Don't Tread on Me Randy Fine Congressman t-shirt. And we're walking through this corridor to meet Congressman Randy Fine. Randy Fine is, I'd say, been a lead voice in shifting the open window, shifting the discussion around Sharia in America. It would surprise you, it surprised me when I looked at the growth of Islam in Texas, when I started looking at certain numbers, how many mosques they're building, just the explosion in the growth of Islam, and not just the explosion, but the hostility from many of the imams, the way they're speaking in the mosques about taking over America, about enforcing Sharia, about hating America. So we're going to meet this congressman now. We're going to ask him what they plan to do. What are you going to do about it? Really? What are you going to do about it? What do you see as the problem? Ask him lots of questions, have a sit-down interview with him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we are actually early. So Congressman Randy Fine may not be here. I feel incredibly underdressed walking around here. Sorry, Mum. I only bought one suit, yeah? I only bought one suit because I only knew I was coming day 4. So I've rushed back, yeah? So I've only bought one suit. My son arrives tomorrow with more suits, but I just grabbed what was there and what was wearable. And that's now, after wearing it 3 times in 5 days, it's not wearable. Charlie Kirk. Oh, here we are. Let's have a look at the wall. There you go. You like it? See why I got the t-shirt, yeah? Representing. Charlie Kirk. Florida. That's where we're heading next. Let's have a look at this. Deport them all. That's pretty straight speaking, because we've walked around many of these corridors, haven't seen anything like this. So this is a no-nonsense, straight-talking member of Congress. I know that from watching his speeches anyway. So these are obviously all illegal aliens, I'm guessing, the worst of Florida, arrested, fraud, Colombia, showing all the countries they're from. This shouldn't even be a controversial statement. Criminals terrorising Americans, deport them. This is Randy Fine's dog. This is his father, and that is his guest at the State of the Union address tonight by Donald Trump. This beautiful dog with that beautiful t-shirt is going to be sat in the State of the Union.
How you doing? Good to see you, pal.
Very well, thank you. Well, it's a privilege to be in America. It's a privilege to meet you properly, Randy Fine. I've been watching your speeches.
Thank you.
Shifting the debate and certainly creating a debate.
Yeah, well, it's an important debate to have, so...
Can I just ask then, for a British audience, can you just introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name's Randy Fine. I'm a congressman from Florida, one of 28 congressmen from Florida. We elect people at the local level here for Congress. I've been in politics for 9 years. I was a state legislator in Florida for 8 years. I was in the state Senate for 5 months, and then I've been in Congress for almost a year now, and never thought I would do this. I was an entrepreneur. That's what I did with my career. I started, built, and grew companies. I did that until I was 40. Then I retired, and for my second act, I guess I figured I would go and try to make America a little bit better place.
Why? What brought you into politics? What was the main driving reason?
So I got angry about what my son was learning in school. He was going to a government-run school. It wasn't actually political. It was I didn't like how they were teaching him math. And when I went to complain about it, they told me I wasn't qualified to have an opinion about my son's education because I didn't have a degree in academic administration like the principal did. Now, I have 2 degrees from Harvard, back when it used to be good. Doesn't mean I'm that smart, but it means I ought to be able to handle first-grade math. And being told I wasn't qualified to have an opinion made me upset. I'm in Congress. He's not a principal, so clearly things worked out. But that's what got me into this, was to fix education in Florida. And I was one of the people responsible for giving people the choice of what school to go to, changing how we taught math, making sure administrators respect the rights of parents. So it was education that got me into politics.
What brought you to the subject, which I'd say you're now becoming known for, which is vocal opposition to Sharia?
Yeah, well, I'm Jewish, and when I was in the Florida legislature, I was the only Jewish Republican. And fighting anti-Semitism and standing up for Israel, which I think is our key ally in fighting a lot of this stuff, was important to me. And what I saw was the groups that aligned and came out against me. I'll never forget when the one mosque that was in my district broke the law to put out a political sign to oppose me. They didn't do it for anyone else. They just said, we don't want a Jewish guy as our elected official. And so I learned as I was targeted by groups like the Council on American Islamic Relations. I don't know what their equivalent is in the UK.
That's CARE, yeah. They're a terrorist organisation.
They are a terrorist
They are a
organisation.
terrorist.
But as
I've watched them get away with so much in America. Get so embedded into the establishment of America.
Yeah. And as I saw these groups, they targeted me over and over and over again. And so I dug into it, and I saw what they wanted, which was to come, to conquer, to change. Immigration is part of the American story, but for 250 years, people came to America, and then they jumped into the melting pot, and they integrated, and they figured out how to retain their culture, but be part of the broader American culture. So, for example, Jews like me came to America. We may not eat pork, but we don't tell the grocery store they can't sell bacon, but now we had a group of people who seemed to think they should be able to come to America and change how America is run. And I said, I'm not going to have that. So when I saw last week that one of Mamdani's key advisors say, finally, New York is coming to Islam, dogs are unclean, they should be banned as indoor pets, I was like, nope, this doesn't work. If you're going to make me choose between my dog and people who say I can't have a dog, well, then the people who say I can't have a dog, they can leave. And they did not like that very much. We're apparently supposed to smile as we submit to their values, and I'm not going to put up with it.
The controversial tweet where Congressman Randy Fine said that he'd rather have his dog than people who want to get rid of dogs. Yeah? It was in response to this tweet by a lead Muslim activist who said, finally, New York City is coming to Islam. They're celebrating, it's coming to Islam. They're all on the floors. Finally, yeah, they've been waiting.
We didn't succeed in 2001, but finally. It's coming.
Dogs definitely have a place in society, just not as indoor pets. Like we've said all along, they are unclean. Now, this is a mainstream view within the Muslim community. Let's not pretend anything else. Muhammad said it, it's in the scripture, that's why they hate dogs. Now, so just to understand, you quote tweeted this.
Yes.
Yeah.
After it had been seen 2.6 million times, by the way, I didn't just discover it. This is a picture of what I quote tweeted, and yet most of the media left it out. They focused on my comment, which frankly, taken in isolation, you'd ask, why would anyone be saying this? But when you're responding to this, it makes all the sense in the world. Because what she's telling me is I have to choose between my dog and her, and people like her in the community she represents. She can leave and go home where they hate dogs. This is the United States of America. We love our dogs. We're going to keep our dogs.
And most of the mainstream media just totally ignored this. This wasn't in there.
This part out.
And just showed your tweet.
And just showed my tweet.
Which is deception. They're deceiving people.
Absolutely, because the funny thing is someone said, man, if you made that tweet, you sound, like you hate Muslims. I said, if someone's made that comment out of nowhere, you would think they were crazy. Like, why would someone say that out of nothing? It was obviously in response to something. But no, if you watch the media, the left-wing media here, you would think that this comment did not exist. And again, 2.6 million views. Now, by now, it's probably 20 or 30. Her response after I made that statement was, oh, I was joking. Apparently, if you're a left-wing activist, you get the I was joking defense. Oh, I didn't actually mean I was just kidding. Ha, ha, ha. You read this. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. There's no part of this that's funny.
No, they hate dogs.
There's no part of this. This is satire. I mean, it was what she said. And this is someone who was instrumental in Mamdani being elected the first Muslim mayor of New York. This is someone.
So when people read this in New York, this could become one of their policies, or is going to become one of their policies.
I think it's something that they will try to do. Look.
They attack dogs in the UK. People get attacked when they're walking their dogs.
On Friday, Mamdani went to a mosque to pray with the leader who's tied to Iran. I mean, there are so many horrible things. Mamdani is the first mayor of New York in 45 years not to go see the new Catholic cardinal or be sworn in. I mean, there's 2.6 million Catholics in New York. This is something that every mayor has done, but no, I'm not going to go to a Catholic church. I mean, this stuff is real, and we need to be willing to say it. I'm sorry I'm the only one. I'm not. There are others. Keith Self, Chip Roy, there are others.
Keith Self,
and he's great, and there will be more of us. But their goal is to silence us and then to make us submit, and we're not going to go quietly.
This story really blew up.
It sure did. Yeah, it really did.
This story.
I wanted to start a conversation. Did I think it would be that tweet would be seen 50 million times? No, I didn't. But I wanted to start a conversation because here's the problem, and you'll understand this better than anyone. Because the problem, we're like 5 or 10 years behind the UK in this problem. We come from a view that says we're all one giant human family. We all share the same things. We all have the same values. And that's wrong. We're not one giant human family. We don't all want the same things. We don't all share the same values. And I think I was radicalized about this on October 7th. When I heard of a phone call, and this is real, you can find it.
I've watched it.
A phone call of a kid. I mean, a kid, I don't know how old he was, but there's so much you can see. But the one that I remember is the child, let's assume he was 20, but he's a kid.
His mom and dad.
Calling his parents to tell them how proud they should be of him. And his parents crying tears of joy and pride. Now, when my children do great things, I get emotional too. What had this guy done that should make his parents so proud? He goes, I've killed 10 Jews. And the parents were crying tears of joy. What is wrong with a culture that says that is okay? And so, I have seen what has happened in your country. I've seen what they're trying to do in mine, and I'm not willing to put up with it. And part of what they do is they attempt to silence us, as you know better than anyone. You're not allowed to say anything. You've got to submit in silence and be happy about it. And what they do is they say, if you're not, you're a racist, you're a bigot or whatever. It's a weapon to create silence. I'm not afraid. And fortunately, I think we have a culture in the United States, we still do, until they try to change that, of freedom of speech. You can say what you want here. You're not going to go to jail. I never thought people would go to jail in the UK for saying what they thought, so maybe it could happen here too. But I'm not afraid to speak the truth, and that certainly got people talking. But you know what it got people saying? They were like, wait, they don't like dogs? Who doesn't like dogs?
Well, Mohammed hated dogs.
He did, and that's what people say, like, what? And what I tell people though is it's okay to hate dogs. It may make you weird.
You're not telling us we can't.
It's okay to hate dogs. It's not okay to tell me I have to hate dogs. That is the difference. And we're now expected to submit. That's not the American way. And people who want to come to America have to agree to become American, not tell us you've got to indulge the way I want to live in America. But that's where we are, and we can see what's coming in New York.
That controversial comment, that shouldn't really be that controversial, but it's been hugely controversial. Have you had blowback from within your own party?
No.
Haven't you?
No.
You see, this is the difference, Britain. You see, if any member of Parliament come out and said anything controversial along these lines, like even Reform would kick them out. Yeah, the political parties will kick them out, which then ingrains the silencing of people. So
here's what I've found. People, as much as they appreciate the comment, that people are used to what I'll call country club Republicans. I don't know what you would call that in Britain, but it's when you say something that offends people, you're supposed to clutch your pearls and go, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. Let me genuflect and rip my clothes and apologize. And I don't. I mean, I'm unapologetic in what I said. And what I've seen is this overwhelming outpouring of support where people go, finally, someone who's willing to just stand up and say the truth and is not going to be felled by the sword of Islamophobia, something that's fake, by the way. I mean, if someone walks down the street and says, praise Jesus, I go, good for them. I don't even believe in Jesus, but I'm like, that's great. If a Jewish person yells out, Baruch Hashem, you might not know what that means, but you're not going to get worried. But if someone walking down the street here yells out Allahu Akbar, everyone's going to look for a car to hide behind. So fear of Islam is rational, and we need to be okay saying that. And so people, not only have I not gotten criticism, people appreciate someone who is unafraid. And I would also note this, over 100 Democrats, the other side, the liberals, called for my censure or my resignation. You know what not one of them said? They didn't say, we don't like what he said, we didn't like it, we don't agree, but just to be clear, we're going to make sure they can never take your dogs away. Not one. You know why? Because they know they want to take their dogs away and they don't want to offend them. That's what we're up against. We're in a civilizational struggle between Western civilization and a civilization that comes out of, the 7th century. And I know where I'm going to end up on that side of that struggle, and you certainly do as well.
What have you learned since becoming a congressman, since making any of these comments? You've spoke about Sharia as well, and the growth of Sharia in America, and the want for Sharia from members of the Islamic community. Talk to me what you've learned.
Well, they want to conquer. And by the way, what's amazing about it is, you know who MEMRI is, MEMRI.
Yeah, they translate.
They translate, they broadcast. But, you know, it used to be you'd catch people saying the craziest things because you wouldn't be in here with a camera and a microphone. You'd like sneak something into my office and you'd catch me saying something crazy. What MEMRI does is they broadcast what they put up on Facebook, what they say on social media. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of videos. And what amazes me about this is many of these mainstream Muslim leaders, they don't hide what their goal is. They say out loud, our goal is to conquer. We will bring Sharia. Everyone will be Muslim. You'll either do it or else. And it's like people want to stick their head in the sand. You know, we used to say ignorance is bliss. I think it's worse than that. I think there are people who are so determined to live in this fictional world that they'd almost rather die than admit that the world that we live in. It reminds me, you hear these stories about women in Scandinavia who are terrified to be outside because of many of these immigrants, but then they won't vote for the parties that would stop it because they can't bear to be called a name. And, you know, the reaction from my side has been spectacular. The liberal media has gone crazy. The left has gone crazy. But I don't care. I don't care what they think. I know I'm right, and I'm going to keep saying it.
So the reaction from your side, as in the Republican side?
Yeah, my side, the Republican side. No. I mean, I have heard that a couple of my more moderate or liberal colleagues are like, oh, you know, his language was harsh. Look, I think we're in a struggle for the future of our country. When people take over Times Square chanting, there is no God but Allah, all will worship Allah.
And saying we're taking over.
And we're saying we're taking over your country, it's okay for us to be worried about that. You know, and I think that, you know, I never in my wildest dreams would have thought 25 years after September 11th, that New York would be falling in the way that it is. And again, we can look at what's happened in your country, where they're debating cousin marriage in Parliament.
Supporting cousin marriage, not even debating.
I mean, it's crazy. And, you know, look, Britain was a few years ahead of the United States, for example, on these crazy transgender surgeries, saying they were okay to do, and then realizing, yeah, maybe they're not. Like in some of these horrible cultural things, the UK is a decade ahead of us. We can see where this ends up, and I don't want that here. And we already have it in too many places. You know, playing the call to prayer at 3:30 in the morning. I mean, that shouldn't be happening. The call to prayer is a call for conquest. And my father...
Explain that. So some people think, well, what's wrong with the call to prayer playing out?
Well, because it's a call for submission. It's a call for prayer. It's not, you know, look, if Muslims want to pray at 3:30 in the morning, that's up to them. It's America. We have freedom of religion.
Get up on their phone and it
set up your phone. That's right. You don't need to play the call to prayer at 3:30 in the morning, but it's the words that are in that prayer. There is no God but Allah that you have to do. I have my faith, you have your faith. You're not trying to force me to believe yours. I'm not trying to do the same. We live in peace and harmony. That's what it means to live in the West. And they seem to have forgotten that. And again, when you find mainstream Muslim imams over and over and over again talking about conquest, talking about caliphate, talking about these things. That's why it's important. We at least have created a Sharia-Free America caucus. We're now up to 42 members. Now there are 435 members of Congress, so we should have a whole lot more, but we're moving in the right direction. My colleagues are recognizing the risk. And that's why the dog comment was so important, because people are like, wait, these people aren't like us. I said, no, many of them aren't. And it is something that we have to be careful about. And if I've got to choose between my dog and people who are going to tell me I have to take my dog away, I'm going to choose my dog.
How long has it taken you to get to 42 members of Congress who are now aligning themselves to try and find a solution to prevent the Islamization of the United States of America? You've done it quite quick. I think you're ahead of the game. There's only 1% of the Islamic population. Many of Europe's countries have fallen. How long has that taken to get from there A to B?
From 0 to 42? Oh gosh, the caucus was started like a month or two ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, it's brand new.
And the more that join and the more that speak, the more confidence it gives and courage it gives to others to talk about this issue.
Yeah, I filed a bill. I filed a bill that sort of started it. It was the day, we could look it up, but I filed a bill that would ban Sharia law in the United States. And it was that within a day or two, some of my colleagues were like, some of my more senior colleagues, I've only been here a year, said, let's start a caucus, and we're up to 42. We did a press conference a couple weeks ago, and at that press conference, I think we had 33 members. So we're picking up a lot of steam. And what we're doing is we're shifting the window, and they don't know what to do. I think mocking is sometimes the right strategy. So CARE, this terrorist group, announced, because they've positioned themselves as sort of the civil rights group for mainstream Muslims, which is terrible. I always say not all Muslims want to kill me, they're the radicals. The radicals are the ones who want to live in peace. It's the mainstream that wants to kill me. And CARE announced that they named me the most anti-Muslim radical in Congress. They said, we have designated him. And I took down that painting over there that you see on the wall, and we put up a picture on social media. We said, we've made a space for the award that you're going to send. Please send it over right away so we can hang it up. And they don't know what to do. They're used to
people backing down. They're used to people crumbling.
They're used to people
even at the threat or the accusation or the mere name, people then go, I'm sorry. Yes, we see it all the time. Celebrities might make a comment and everyone, I'm so sorry. And then they end up donating to anti-racist groups or people bend.
I'm not sorry.
Why not?
I'm not sorry because I see what they've done in your country. I see what they've done in Western Europe. I see what they've done in France. I see what they've done in so many of these places where they've gone, where the grooming gang scandal. I don't want that in America. And by the way, I also look at places like Poland and Hungary that have said, nope, not doing this here.
Safest countries in Europe.
And look how great they're doing. So, facts are not racist. Facts are facts. If they're inconvenient truths, oh well, maybe you should adjust your policies accordingly. So I'm going to continue to speak the truth. I'm proud of you for what you've done. You've certainly taken more of a beating for what you believe than just about anybody. And hopefully in the United States, we never get to that. Freedom of speech seems sacrosanct here, but I never would have thought, the UK would get to the place that it is. And maybe I'm hearing about the new political parties over there. People need to stand up and say, I don't care what you call me. I'm going to say what is right and true, and I'm going to fight. Because people need to be worried about the future of their children.
It took us 3 decades to get to this point in the UK. 3 decades to get to the point where people, I think the dams burst in the UK, just to let you know. I think the bubbles burst. People are not that scared now. People are saying it. But that took 3 decades. I've took 15 years of work to get to this point.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're already getting momentum, you're already getting ready. What will you do? What can you do as a congressman, even as a group of 42 congressmen? What can you do to prevent Sharia? Because in the UK, I'll tell you how it operates. You have an Islamic community. They won't need laws because they all respect the Sharia. So they'll get married, not through the British legal system. They'll just get married in the mosque, and then she's in marriage. So when they respect it, if there's inheritance, it gets dealt with in the mosque. So they don't need all stamps and legal system because they're running Sharia. So those women, which are British-born Muslim women, they're not protected by British law because the community accept it. What will you do? What can you do in the United States of America?
Well, I think a big part of what we need is we need to expose it. I haven't even read it yet, but Fox News. So I've focused on dogs, and what we've learned is dogs are like the third rail of politics. People are going crazy. They'll put up with a lot, but they won't put up with their dog being taken away. Fox News.
A special tax on. I believe they want to charge now in a tax.
Well, no, what they want to do is ban them.
So,
yeah. The next thing I want to focus on, and Fox News just did a story about this, is the genital mutilation of women. Apparently that is happening in the United States.
How much do you know about that?
Well, more than I want because, it makes my stomach churn to think about it, but it's allegedly happening in America.
55,000 British girls had their genitals mutilated, 55,000. Now that's carried a 18-year prison sentence for 20 or 30 years. One person's been prosecuted. One. They've let them do it. We already such a number.
I remember the Fox News article. I think it was 500 to 600,000 was the number that they were talking about in the article, the headline that I saw. So
all Somalis, all Somalis, all the Somali community do it.
Yeah, and that's what they were talking about. Okay. But you want to do that in Somalia? I still think it's horrifically horrible, but you don't get to do that stuff in the United States of America. I think the number one, I think I mentioned this before, the number one thing that my colleague said over the last week is, wait, they don't like dogs? People don't understand that not all cultures is the same. The left has programmed us to say all cultures are equal. You know, there used to be cultures that said eating people was okay. Cannibalism was fine. And we as a society said, you know, eating people not good, culture bad, goodbye. There were cultures that said child sacrifice was okay, literally killing kids. We said, nope. But now we've reached the point where we have to accept everyone. We have to say everything is fine. And I have news for you. If you don't like dogs, if you want to mutilate the genitals of children, if you want to marry your cousin, we don't want you. Get out of here. And I think that you're finding people who are willing to take on that fight. I certainly am. I've been dealing with people like this my whole life, and I don't want my country to end up like Western Europe. I mean, I'm deathly afraid of it. And what's crazy again is they tell us that's what they're going to do. Like, they're not secretive about it. Every day I see another video from another mosque somewhere in the country with another imam saying what they want to do. I don't know why we can't speak up against it. And we are, and that's why we're at 42 members, and it'll keep on growing.
You're a member of Congress. I'm sure you've got the ear of many others members of the Republican Party in your government. What's the general view of Britain currently?
Not great. I actually think the thing that bothers Americans the most about Britain, because it's happening, is, and you'll understand this, is the notion that like you can make a comment on social media and get arrested. You know, that is so foreign to the United States of America. Like, look, I'm Jewish. If people want to stand outside my office and, you know, hold up a sign that says Randy Fine should go in a boxcar and get put in an oven, I think they're stupid, but that's America. You're allowed to be an idiot and say what you want. The idea that opinions on social media that hurt people's feelings, get people arrested, that goes to the core of what it means to be in America. So even more than the Islamification of Britain, the crackdown on free speech, Americans of all persuasions just can't wrap your head around it. We're used to people having protests here. And I think that has really damaged our view of the UK. And then also when you see things about debates in Parliament about cousin marriage, I mean, people are like, what's wrong with them? And I also think people are shocked that it's been allowed. Like, you know, no one ever, not you did, but like the government didn't say, no more of this. This fetishization of migrants and illegals and bringing in this sort of third world. That's how Donald Trump won. And Donald Trump won because of this. Everyone who wants streams across the border and comes in, and we're like, no, we don't want this here. I think just the silence with which the UK has allowed a lot of this stuff is shocking. But I think the freedom of speech thing is probably the biggest thing that's made Americans go, wait, if I criticize something and they could arrest me when I'm over there, people just can't wrap their heads around it.
Well, I hope so many listen to your comments and get more confidence to speak up.
I think they do. Because I see
what's the reaction in your constituency, in Florida?
Oh, I've never experienced
support
like this on anything I've ever done, ever. And by the way, it's funny, you can prove it. You can go look. Every time one of my Democrat colleagues or someone criticizes me, I go in the comments on social media, or one of my staff does, and they put up the image of the puppy, "Don't tread on me," and the people get dragged. I mean,
explain what this image is, symbolism of it.
So, back in the time of the Revolution, when the United States, left Britain, there was a flag called the Gadsden flag, and it was the theme was "Don't tread on me." It was a snake, and it was just it was one of those inspirational flags for the American Revolution 250 years ago. And so we created a version of the Gadsden flag with a puppy that said, "Don't tread on me." And by the way, we've got about 15 versions of them with all kinds of different dogs, and it's just something that's key to the psyche of Americans being "Don't tread on me." But you post that, I've never seen such organic support on anything. And by the way, it's not just conservatives. Everyone in America loves their dogs. So my colleagues can see to some degree that I'm new, so I'm low on the totem pole. But
that's what I was thinking. You're new. You probably are you ruffling feathers?
But I'm willing. They've seen, hey, he's new. He has no power, but he's willing to fight. He's not afraid. He's not standing down. And he's doing just fine. And people are rallying to him. Maybe I should do the same. We need people to have, courage is contagious, and hopefully I'm inspiring a little bit of courage around here.
What area is it in Florida that you're?
So the most famous thing in my district is the Daytona Speedway. So if you like NASCAR or the race cars, that's the most. I represent, if you look at a map of Florida, Orlando's kind of in the middle. A lot of people from the UK come to go to Disney. Orlando's in the middle. In the upper right-hand part of Florida is a city called Jacksonville, another major city. I represent most of the land in between Orlando and Jacksonville. Don't represent either city, but I represent most of the people that live in between. And that's my part of Florida.
We're off to Florida next.
Where are you going?
We're going everywhere. Yeah, we've got lots of places to go. So we're going to Miami, we're going to Fort Lauderdale, we're going to... I've got a list, yeah.
Well, the weather will be better. If you text me, we should make sure we exchange numbers. I can probably find you a place that you'll find better British food than you found.
Do you know how many offers I've had since I posted this?
Yeah,
people telling me to come to their house, they're going to cook me food.
Here's the deal. I'm American. When I travel to other places, I don't look for hamburgers and French fries. So, I mean, don't eat that stuff at home. You know, you should be.
It's Sunday though. We have to have Sunday.
You should eat barbecue. You should try food from New Mexico. You should eat Cajun food. There's 6 or 7 different cuisines from the United States that are hard to find in other places. Stick to that. And Cuban food. I mean, it's not American, but you'll find a lot of that stuff when you go to Florida. That's really good.
Just finally, it's the State of the Union.
Yes.
Today, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm taking my dad, and you may have seen him. My father, part of the reason this is so important to me is my father's blind and he has a seeing eye dog. So my dog will be in attendance at the State of the Union tonight. My father's dog will be in the gallery. Not the first. Apparently, a president once recognized like a military dog, but I don't know that a dog's ever been a guest at the State of the Union. What I'm hoping we hear from the president tonight is a reminder of how bad things were a little over a year ago under Joe Biden. You know, I think it's social media. I think our attention spans are short. They forget how bad things were. A reminder of how bad things were, a reminder of just the extraordinary amount of good the president has done in a year, from stopping a lot of these wars, from tariffs and bringing money home, bringing business home, all the policy we've passed, ending a lot of taxes for regular Americans. And then I hope he talks a lot about what's at risk. I mean, Democrats want the policies that the left want in your country. Reopen the border, let everybody who wants come in. I mean, again, yeah, they want that. And I think Americans need to understand that the way of life that we've had for 250 years, if they're in charge, they will end it. And I hope he talks about the stakes that are ahead of us. So we'll see. I think it'll be a long speech, but I'm excited. It's my first one since I got elected. And so I'm looking forward to being there to clap and support the president and hear what he has to say.
One last thing I hadn't asked you, have you had any death threats?
I have had many. In fact, there are 3 people in prison in the United States, but I've had them going back to when I was in the legislature. Only one person put in jail since I got elected to Congress, but there were 2 from my time in the legislature. Very, very serious death threats from, it turns out sometimes the religion of peace is not all that peaceful.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Congressman.
Thanks for everything that you do, though, too.
No, thanks.
We're glad. Welcome to America. We're glad to have you. And no matter what you say here, you're not going to get arrested. So you're safe over here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you again.
It's time to unite the kingdom.